Welcome back. So we stopped at um, the fact that chronic inflammation could cause diseases. Diseases like diabetes, cancer, cardiovascular diseases, neurological diseases, and you can go on and just keep naming, and many have been traced to um, chronic inflammation. That's why it's very important that as healthcare providers, we are at the forefront of understanding what the current research is on chronic inflammation. So let's move on. Yes, we want to take charge. Having known that chronic inflammation is at the heart of many chronic illnesses that we have now, having known that many of the fatigue and tiredness and the body weakness and the person not just being at his best self. Now that we know that chronic inflammation could be the sneaky enemy behind them, what do we do? First thing I believe is to understand what the root cause is, then address it. Now, where is the issue of chronic inflammation coming from? Exactly where, and why is it increasing as the years go by? Yeah, these are four major reasons I have been able to identify over the few years I have delved into natural medicine. And the first one is the paramount, the oga patapata of them all, which is the toxins. Then poor gut health, poor diet, sleep deprivation. We're going to be looking at all this one by one. Toxins. Now, when the body is exposed to toxin, it can trigger inflammatory response in the body, and that happens because the body is trying to defend itself. And these toxins also have a way of causing oxidative stress. Some cases, oxidative stress mainly means the toxins are causing release of free radicals from them from their compounds, which and these free radicals are unstable and they're always looking for um electrons to make them balance, and they now start taking the electrons from the molecules of the cells, causing cell damage. And of course, that also conversely will lead to inflammatory response because the body wants to start repairing those cell damage. That's what we actually call oxidative stress. So these are the ways that toxins actually cause inflammation. Now, the question is, where are these? Well, wait. Before I continue to before I proceed in talking about where these toxins are coming from, thankfully we have the liver. The liver is meant to detoxify toxins coming into the body. Unfortunately, it has its own limits. So the more toxins we get exposed to, the more the liver keeps working at the time it just gets getting tired. And we start seeing it manifest in some cases in non-alcoholic liver disease. Liver function tests, we see the enzymes, some are abnormally high, and we begin to suspect damage of the liver cells as a result of overload, overwork. Now, the question is, where are these toxins coming from? They are coming mainly from external sources. We have endotoxins, we have those ones that the body generates through normal body processes. Yes, but that's not where our problem is. The ones coming from outside in the form of plastics, in the form of personal care products, in the form of air pollution. You see, these things are all around us in the modern world. The modern world is actually not conducive for wellness, it's not conducive for good health. It's in the modern world you have a lot of use. The use of plastic these days has become very high, and plastic contain chemicals that leach. For instance, let's take plastic water bottles or our regular pure water sachet, water in sachet. They contain phthalates, that's a chemical compound that leach into the water. You take it in, and it has a way of causing inflammation. We have personal care products that may be high in probably high in preservatives like parabens that seep under the skin into the bloodstream. This is a source of toxin. We have toxins even in the processed foods from the industry. Processed foods are full of a lot of additives. For instance, the coloring, the flavor enhancers, they are all chemical compounds that can get into the body and trigger chronic inflammation. Even the fragrances we apply to make us smell nice, many of them, especially the strong, long-lasting ones, could also be responsible for increased level of toxins in the body. The exhaust from cars, exhaust fumes from cars and generator are released into the air, and we inhale that air laden with things like heavy metals that get into the blood and cause heavy metal toxicity and pollution of our blood, which triggers chronic inflammation. So that's how toxins can trigger chronic inflammation. Poor gut health too. Gut is made up of the digestive system that includes stomach, the large intestine, the small intestine, the rectum and all. Now, we have found out that that area, the GIT, contains microbiomes, that's microorganisms, germs, we put it simply, that also have been shown to regulate immune function. And if there's an issue with the gut health, it can also trigger chronic inflammation when there's an imbalance. And what causes that imbalance most of the time is the kind of food we are eating. We are not feeding the friendly bacteria. Most of the modern diets are more of food that favors pathogenic microorganisms, not even the friendly ones. And so when there is this imbalance, which we call dysbiosis, it can lead to the intestine becoming leaky. We call it leaky gut, where pathogenic bacteria and toxins can easily enter the bloodstream, and that will trigger an immune response and chronic inflammation throughout the whole body. Apart from this, the microorganisms, the friendly ones, also in the presence of the right kind of food, that's fiber rich food, turn fiber that we cannot digest it and release some chemical compounds such as short chain fatty acids, which is a very effective anti-inflammatory agent, naturally occurring one in the body. So you see, in these ways, if the gut health is poor, it can also lead to chronic inflammation. Poor diet, I've talked about it briefly. Diets that are high in trans fat, fructose, contribute to chronic inflammation. These foods can disrupt the gut microbiome. I've explained it that if you feed yourself this kind of food, you are feeding the pathogenic bacteria more than you are feeding. And then, of course, when the pathogenic bacteria, so those useless ones, the ones that are not useful to our body, when they are more than the friendly, useful ones, of course, there's an imbalance. And so we need to be careful about the kind of food we are eating to make sure that we have maintain a healthy gut microbiome. Okay, so this food disrupt the gut microbiome, promotes oxidative stress, and lead to the production of inflammatory cytotoxins.